let's see if we are. All right, I think we are live now. Make sure everything's set up here. And get things rolling here. Thanks anyone who's joining here. If you have any questions, definitely throw them in the chat as I'm playing around with stuff. What I'm planning on doing today is kind of going through a couple different concepts and ideas. And I think we'll maybe get through one or two designs, but it kind of just depends. I'll just, be playing around with things and seeing how they go. I have a few different design ideas, and I'll kind of talk about too where the concepts came from and what I've been trying out that's different lately. And so I'll show you guys those. And let me see here. Let me make sure that I can get rid of that. Now we should be able to see everything. Okay. Cool. So lately I've been playing like this YouTube music, this YouTube allowed music in the background, and it's pretty terrible. So now I'm going to try some public domain classical. Every week we're just going to try something new here, okay? So bear with me. I don't know that the classical is always going to fit with what we're doing, but I think it's better than the YouTube allowed music, in my opinion. Let me know too if it's too loud and I can turn it down, or if it's too quiet. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and make a new project here. We're going to go to Friday streams, and I'll just create a new one. Call it Friday, so I'll stick with that. Friday stream 12/22/2023. All right, open up this new project here. All right, so what I have for design ideas is a couple different things. So one are some concepts that I played around with a few years ago. This was some different ideas from myself as well as another designer that I work with. And so we have some different designs here. So I was thinking of just kind of taking some of these old concepts and building off of them. And then another thing that I tried doing recently was creating some concepts in Midjourney. And so far I haven't gone too deep with this, but it's been okay, the concepts, and the biggest problem with them so far is that I've noticed is just the overall look of them is all kind of messed up. So in some of these you can just see like the tables are all messed up where the chairs are. It's not super important, but and then there's just like truss and lighting everywhere where it probably doesn't need to be. And a lot of the stuff is distorted as well, like this person's face, and then there's just random objects everywhere, and I couldn't get them to like necessarily look any better. But at least they were kind of like a concept idea to kind of go with. So, for something like this, I think my prompt was something like medium-sized room, corporate tech design or something like that. And these are kind of the ideas that it came up with. So pretty basic, but at least something to start with. But anyways, I think what I'll start with is something more around one of these ideas and kind of play with that. So Also, I mean, I don't have to do this stuff either, so if anyone's watching and wants to see something specific, you know, let me know if you want to see something specific designed, and we can do that, or like some specific feature, whether it's I don't know, recently I've been doing some projection mapping stuff, or maybe some new decor objects or something like that in here that you're wondering about. So yeah, just let me know too at any point if you want to look at those. So yeah, let's see here. I think I might start with this one. Or this one. I think I'll do this one. And I was gonna look at this. Just make sure there's no other designs I wanted to look at real quick. Yeah, I have a number of other ones, but they're a little, there's a lot to them. So maybe we could play around with something else too, but all right, so I'm gonna kind of work off of this one here. So basically I'm just looking at doing some scenic kind of, the idea I guess would be some scenic above with some kind of different layers of things, and then some screens set around so we can play around with all that. That's the basic idea there. Okay. All right, so we're gonna start off with, let me close some of these others. I'll just need to remember where this one is. Okay, it's right here. All right, so I'm gonna start off with just a stage, and yeah, this actually will be pretty quick and simple, I think. So I'm gonna go into this build spot here, and I'll just use this general room size here. I think we could probably make it just fill out this room. This room is, I think it's 100 by 100. Let me make sure. So we got, yeah, 100 by 100. So obviously your room's probably not going to be exactly 100 by 100. But I think it's a general, like it's a good example because we can fill out this 100-foot space here. And maybe we make it a little bit taller. I think this is only 20 feet. So let me put some type of ceiling here, and then I'll change this walls back to something. Even do a wooden look. Maybe with some type of carpet. Something basic. All right, we'll just start with this and call it good for now. And once we kind of turn down the lighting in the room, and then, you know, put all the accent lighting on all of the stage design, the event design, then we're not going to really see the room as much anyways. We could also use one of these pre-built rooms that we have. You know, we have a number of rooms already built in the program, but I've been using those a lot lately, so I'm just going to use a general room general room for now here. All right, so let me go to the stage here, and I'm just going to do, I'll just do like a 30-foot, well, let's do like 40 foot wide stage for now. we can always change this. And I think in my example, we just had like a flat square stage, rectangular stage. And I'm just going to throw some quick stairs on here real quick. Nothing too substantial. And maybe real quick, I'll just do a reflective surface because that always kind of looks cool, but we could always adjust that as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and do some drape in the background. I think in our concept, there's nothing really you see back here. You could honestly do a cyc, which might look cool too. But we'll play with that. Maybe I'll start with a cyc and then we can always change it. The only thing that's going to be that we're going to want to think about is we probably want these pieces that you see here to stand out in the design, and that this back part be kind of more subtle in the background. So like you want the scenery pieces to pop out, so we don't want them to clash with what's going on back there. So, but I could start with this kind of cyc here, turn up the lighting a little bit, and we'll just start with this, and we could always remove it and switch it really quickly later. So I'll actually do like a 90 foot by 20, yeah, let's do 20 feet. And I'll just switch this back to the cyc, and then I could switch the material of the cyc. And again, I'm just gonna do something quick for now. You could even do a flat back or a flat black color on the backdrop if you had the vendor to provide that or something. But we'll just leave it this kind of white for now. And I'm gonna start with these drape pieces. So I'm actually gonna go into this add objects button here and just kind of drag in some single drape pieces. So if I do this, I can just add this over here, and then I'm just going to scale this. They come out to be 10 feet by 12 feet. So to adjust it, you could scale it and then measure it to be the exact size you wanted. I'm just going to kind of rough it in here, and we'll say eventually maybe we'll add some truss up here and hide it, and say that these drape are going to be hung off something. A lot of times when you're adding a decent amount of scenery, you want to try to make them kind of separate by a good 2 or 3 or 4 feet, so that you can do a lot more with lighting, and lighting just looks a lot better when you do that, when you separate them by a few feet. So we'll play with that in a minute here. All right, so I just made one of these. Maybe I'll make it a little bit wider, and basically the idea would be then that we put a screen in front of there. So if I were to just drag out, go into the screens here in the build feature, and I'm going to do, let's see how big a 16 by 9 screen is in front of this. Or I can make it even bigger. So basically I'm just taking this concept idea and I'm kind of adjusting it, the size of things, to be different. You can see too that some of this scenery is like layered, so some of it would be in front, some of it would be behind this drape. So I don't want to stick specifically to what we have here, but so I'm just going to kind of adjust things a little bit. All right, so I'll play with this for now. I'll go into the content and just put some placeholder thing there, and maybe I'll leave this drape over here. All right, and then I'm just gonna copy this by holding Alt and dragging, and I might need this to be a little bit larger. We'll do another one over here. I'm not sure if I want to leave these screens this size or not. Do another one, we'll place that one, and we'll do a smaller 16 by 9. Screen, maybe put it in the center there. And yeah, so this is kind of, I think it's going to fill out more once we add some scenery pieces around. Just copy this over. I think I want this to kind of just cover half this drape here. Something like this. And I'll go ahead and save, make sure to save here, Control S. If you're feeling where this is going a little bit, please type 1 in the chat. If you're not feeling it at all, type 0 because you're like, I don't think this is going anywhere. And then I'll try to step up our game here. All right, so for this center guy, let me throw in a little different image here. And I'll probably adjust the color of these guys too, because the scenery I want to be white. So I'll just adjust the color there. And see, now I kind of want this backdrop to be black. So I'm gonna go back to the backdrop and just make it like a darker color for now. All right, I didn't get any responses in the chat, so that's unfortunate, but no big deal. We'll keep cruising. All right. If you have any comments on the music, feel free to say yes or no. All right, here we go. So now I'm gonna try to add some of these scenery pieces here and see what happens. So to add the scenery, I'm gonna go to this build button here. And I'm going to I don't have any, for some reason, I don't know that we have a lot of like circular shapes. Let me see. I want to add a circular shape here. So maybe I'll just take this and make it like 2 by 2, and it's going to be behind here. And what I want to do is just kind of make this kind of pattern here where they're just offset a little bit. So like 2, 2, 2, 3. It's kind of a cool look. So let's see. I think these will be big enough. Let me see. It could be a little larger. Maybe 3 by 3. All right. So I think for these, I actually want them to be in front here. And I would move this guy up. And then I would do this, and the rest of them would be kind of behind here. So maybe the screens need to be a little bit smaller, or I can move everything up a little bit higher. So maybe I just go over here and I will grab the drape and the backdrop here, and I'll just move it up a bit. Like there. Or let me do it differently. I'll go just grab this, scale it up, and do the same thing with the drape. Okay, now we have a little more room. All right, still just kind of playing with this. Not sure exactly where we're going here. All right, I think I might remove that one, and we'll kind of make this we'll make this get bigger over here. Okay, and then thinking about like how these would stack and stuff, there are, I know if like for vendors, there are vendors like Atomic and other scenery vendors have little framing systems. I can't remember the name of it, but I believe there's a item from Atomic that has circular shapes like this that you can attach to like a sort of vertical pipe. And if you wanted to actually add that in, we have some objects like that, so you could take this pipe and base here and kind of put that back here and kind of place it where you want to. If you wanted to sort of mock that in somehow, you could definitely do that. And then just kind of adjust the pipe size. I'm not going to worry too much about this sort of thing yet, though, because I typically would want to make the look first, and then if we like it, then we can start placing support stuff for it. So, yeah. Let me see here with our concepts. So this is all kind of right on the base of the stage, which I like better. Right now the stage is kind of covering this. I guess I'd almost want to make these scenery pieces smaller. I could kind of grab them all and scale them down, but I think they're just going to scale down in place. So let me see if I can just do that, and then I'll delete these guys. Make sure these are a little bit closer. So I kind of want them to be pretty close. Let me scale them up a tiny bit more, like that. So this is now, if I go into the front view here and then I zoom in on it, it is now 2.5 feet, which before it was like 3 feet. So I think this will work a little better. Something like this. think that'll look okay. But let's play with it. And actually, let me, I'm going to keep these at a 6-inch sort of snapping setting so that they are equal when I move them. So now when I move them over, it'll always be equal here. So I'll do that again. Now it's all even. And again, I almost want to move these up so that the stage doesn't cover them. And I think the screen's just going to have to be smaller. Let me just play with that. So I'll move this over here. You know, in a lot of circumstances, people don't want to like have smaller screens, right? But we'll just say for this design, the screens aren't quite as important, I guess. And one thing you could do is you could just move the screens in front of the scenery instead of it being in front of it, instead of scenery being in front of and behind. This could just be, it could all be behind. All right, I'll do this again. I think that just ends there. All right, we'll just leave it like that for now. Maybe I'll have it start there, and then the one that is over here will kind of be offset like this. Maybe I'll move it back behind the drape here. Okay, so it goes kind of gets deeper over here. 3, 3, 4, 3. Turn my camera back on. All right. Just kind of playing with these shapes to see what we get here. Okay, so we'll leave that as is for now. And I think now what I'll do is add some lighting over to this side, and then we can kind of play with it over here too. So we'll just do this one side first, and then kind of copy everything to the other side. And I'm also going to delete that guy and move that over here. And I'll just throw in some quick lighting. So I'm going to go to lighting here, and I'm just going to, I'll do a quick stage wash here, and I'll move it up to right there. I'm going to, 20 feet high. I'm going to make it go like 45 feet wide, because I think what we'll do is make the stage wider too. So I'm going to go back to stage, and I'm going to make this like 50, 60 feet wide maybe. And now we can just reapply that material and add the stairs again, and now we got a wider stage. I think that just fills out a little bit better. All right, I'll add some quick uplighting here too as well, and then we can adjust the scenery again. I think what I'd also probably do is change these accent panels to be actually a different color. So whatever the content would be for the screens, maybe we'd adjust. So if it was like purple, I would make these like a purple. And then you can still, add lighting and stuff to them, but I think that would have a more like bold look to it. Also going to widen this out. All right, now I want to throw some uplighting on here. So I'm going to place these Lecos where I have them, and I'm going to add in some uplights. When I add the uplights, they're kind of just floating up here, because I want to change the height of them to be at 0 so that they're sitting on the ground. So now you can see they're kind of back here, and I want them to hit different parts of the scenery. So let me just go ahead and actually move all of this stuff further out, and that gives us some more space over here. And then I'm going to well, actually, let me spread out these lights even further. So I think like 90 feet, 85 feet. Let's do 80 feet, and we'll add like 10 lights. We'll probably have to go in and adjust this a bit, but I'm just kind of getting a feel for what's going on here. All right, so I got this. So what I'm kind of thinking about here are different layers. So right now everything's so spread out and whatnot, but I really want to be able to like light the scenery and then these accent panels, and then have the screens far enough forward so that there's separation, a good amount of separation between all of them. So what I would do is move these screens up a bit, and I would say that this backdrop, whatever we're using, whether it's drape or like a cyc or flat backdrop, would either be supported, from some type of ground support, or you could potentially hang that. So maybe you threw in some ground supported lifts or something back here to hold that up, and maybe there was some truss or something, but we'll just ignore that for now. And instead, I'm going to focus on how the scenery and other stuff's going to be held up. So for the scenery to be in back, basically I think what I'd want to do is have this scenery in the back right here, and then these accent panels all hung off of one line of truss or something that they can be hung off of. So I would do 90 feet of truss here at 20 feet high, I think. And I'm just going to move that right here. Do it kind of right in the middle. We'll give it a little bit of space so we can still see it back there. And then these guys are going to be on the ground, and so I'm actually going to move this whole line back a bit so they have some more space. And then the tricky part is going to be these screens. That's kind of they're going to be in front of everything, so we'll have to think about that in a minute. So yeah, so this all works. So this scenery and these accent panels are hung off this. These are on the floor. And then the screens are going to be somehow magically hanging from something. We'll figure that out. All right, so let me move this up a bit. Could put it here, or I'll do there, and then I can move these scenery panels. I'm just going to go ahead and group these guys. Make sure they're in a group. Something like this. And I'm actually just going to take this thing and duplicate it and cover up this truss real quick. Just kind of a quick fix that I'll do to cover this truss here. So I'm just going to scale this down real quick. And we'll just say that this is like some drape or some type of cover for the truss so that we don't see the truss. You can always have something different there. All right, cool. Now that kind of disappears. Move this down a little bit. And yeah, so now the next thing I would want to do is to probably downlight on this scenery right here. So I'm just going to go into this lighting section here, and you can actually just grab an LED light that's already facing downward, and I'm just going to kind of place it above this, and I'll zoom in on it here. And go ahead and, oops. Placement is always kind of like nuanced in that you get a much better look if the further away the light is, but you also don't want to see the light hanging down too much. So it's always something to play with a little bit. Let me turn the room lighting down, and we can adjust the cone angle as well as the intensity here. What am I talking about? Here we go. We also have another light, so there's another uplight here which has a little bit more nuanced cone angle that you can adjust. So you could also play with this one and just see which one looks better on whatever you're lighting it on. So if I zoom in here, and so for this one, if I adjust the cone angle, I have more of a cone, you can see here. So I might use that one because it tends to give a little bit better cone or ability to change the cone. All right, we'll just stick with that for now. Just the intensity a little bit, and I probably can spread them out quite a bit, like every other row or column here. And then I'm going to go ahead and select them all. Maybe change the color so I can just see them individual, or what they look like with a different color. Maybe I'll do a yellow for now. Make this angle a little bit wider. And maybe I want them to be a little bit more in the background, so I'm going to choose a color that's a little less vibrant or less bright. Cool, and then I think I'm going to adjust these. So I'm going to do like a just a few lights on the scenery at the bottom here. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and delete all these. And I'll throw in an individual light here. I'll kind of do the same thing here. So like every other column here. And now I can just select these all and group them. And adjust the cone angle if I want. I'll do something like that for now. Cool, so we have that kind of look is going well now. And then over here I can just accent this guy. So these, again, I changed them to purple, so if we were to like light them all up in white, so if I were to do this, and then just turn them all to white, it would be purple, or pinkish purple. Maybe we want 2 lights on them. So you can play around with that. Sometimes it looks better to just have the drape be a different color, or you could change that to white and then adjust the color of the lights to something different. If you wanted it like a really vibrant color, so maybe you wanted these to be like a bright orange, you could then change both the drape color and the light color to be that. But anyways, we don't want to get too bogged down in the colors yet, because we want to finish the rest of what's going on here. Let me move this back a little. Just going to adjust this a little bit so it's not so bright on the stage there. Alrighty then. So let me do the same thing on the other side here. And then we'll play around a bit more with color and sort of finalizing stuff. So from here, what I want to do is just copy this over. If you're just tuning in and didn't hear me earlier, I was talking about how YouTube music is pretty terrible, so I'm trying out public domain classic music now. I don't know if it always fits, but I think it is better than the YouTube music, so hopefully it's not too bad. I do like me some classical, I just don't know that it's always fitting for what we're doing here. I'm going to select just these ones. Let me open up this group. Oh, I think I need another one down here, right? something like that. I think that's right. All right, and then let me go ahead and copy over these lights. Cool, so I have that, and then I can just group those two, so I could actually, if you go into this, if you turn on this grid here, you can see where the lights are, and I don't know if this will work, but you could potentially select them all like this. Let me see if that worked. Yeah, so I just have these lights selected now, and then I can group those together. And so that's nice because now when I just select one of them, they all get selected, and then I can just change the color. All right, I'm going to turn that grid back off. And now I'll just do this on the bottom too here, so copy this one over. Rough it in there. And we could make it, I think we're going to make it symmetrical to the other side, so I'm going to just make sure, I think basically all I need to do is just this. And then I'll copy over the lights. And I think I need one up there. That's about right. So this is kind of cool. And so you can see if I kind of go to this angle here, I have a lot of separation now between what's going on. And this helps a lot for being able to light everything individually. Because now you can, you know, you don't get as much spill on different things from these lights to this, and in general, when you're looking at it, everything looks just isolated better. All right, so now we can kind of play with the colors and more stuff here. So let me actually change to a totally different graphic so that we can have completely different colors. So I have some graphics from last week that I was playing with, but maybe I'll just do something more simple like this. And then I can adjust to this. I think I'm going to do 2 lights on these guys. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and group some lights so that we can quickly work with this. And I'm gonna adjust the color of these. So let's go ahead and change this color to white. So white, and then we'll adjust the color of this drape to something different. I can't decide if I want the drape to be white or maybe I can make it gray. Let's do this. We'll just make it kind of a gray. And then we'll adjust the color of these lights. It's a little better, I think. A little more subtle. Okay. And let's put a person or two on the stage. And also I think what I want to do real quick here is just throw, actually, I'm going to throw some lights going down on the drape and just see if that works well. Only problem with this is that you're going to need to hang them out. Otherwise they'll just be way too bright on the drape. But could kind of get them close and then just decrease the intensity a bit maybe. And we'll see, let's see, I kind of want to make this a different color. I feel like this is, it almost feels like an Apple-esque event now. With all the gradients, I guess, and the circles feel kind of like their UI design almost. It's just the vibe I'm getting. All right, so I think I want this to be more subtle, but I want it to separate from those panels in the back. I'm just trying to find a way to do that. This color is different enough. All right, I think too what would make this design pop a little bit as well is adding actually some green like plants and stuff around. I think that would help things out a little bit more as well. So let me throw on, I'm just gonna throw some truss on this downstage area here and do like 50 feet, 60 feet. Make sure that it's above here. Go to my side view here. Good enough for now. And yeah, so on the stage here, let's throw some people on here to get a sense of the scale of things. So I think these screens actually probably are big enough. I think they looked small before when I didn't have anything on the stage here, but and I also still have to think about how these screens are flying in the air. So if you wanted to, you could potentially like cantilever them off of this truss, but I don't think that would work very well. Let's see here. I think the most subtle thing might just be to put some type of ground supported thing underneath them. So you could even, you know, I think what I would probably do actually is just, I'm just going to use this as an example, but this is, and I'll just take this projector off of here. But I would probably do something like this and use a pipe to kind of hold up the top of it. And this would be just a ground supported thing. And then I would put something over this truss here. So, oops. To do that fairly easily, I will go into this shapes button here and I'll just make like a 1 foot, I'll do like 1.2 foot piece here. So this is just basically a cube, which is just going to cover this truss. And I think that's just going to be the cleanest look and probably most simple look, or simple way to do it too. It's not perfect, but sometimes you can't get perfect, but you still get the same overall design. You're not sacrificing too much. And what's nice about this too is that now you could actually move these screens to kind of wherever you want. So, you know, maybe you wanted to like rotate them over here or something, which It doesn't look too bad, actually. I was thinking that would look a little weird, but I think it actually looks kind of cool because it gives a new sort of dimension and angle. So if I were to move stage up a tad, I don't know why this accidentally got copied or something. Yeah, I kind of like this being curved and off to the side, sort of. Cool. Okay, so that's a decent spot for that so far. Maybe in the backdrop, instead of flat black, you could do a little bit of texture and lighting to it. It's always something you can play with if you have the time to play with it. So I'm just going to adjust these a bit. I just don't like it sometimes because then it ends up being just so such a mess of stuff in the background. So if I were to like add more lights, let me. This light accidentally got copied. All right, so if I were to throw these over here, you can see it just starts to really be a lot of lighting and just a mess. You know, you could definitely like make it more subtle by toning it down a bit. But I still think it's just going to be too much and look better as probably black. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool, but like super vibrant. I would probably just leave it black. It is fun to play with it though. Can't decide if I like it or not, but anyways. I'm gonna move it back a tiny bit. I think it doesn't look too bad if it's subtle and you don't see a lot of the actual light, like hot spots. I think it's doable. All right, we'll just leave it for now. And then I want to throw some stuff on the stage. So I'll throw on some plants. I definitely want to add more plant options for the program, because right now, there are like, I don't know, 10 or so plants on here, but I just don't really enjoy most of them. So we'll have to get some more added too. And you can always scale them down and whatnot too if you want. I don't know why, but placing plants is always difficult for me. Probably do like a light on them so that it just lights up the leaves. I didn't realize my camera was off. Let's turn that back on. I'm gonna go ahead and group these lights here at the bottom. And then I'll group the plants too. You know what? Let's see if we adjust the gloss a bit on the stage. Or maybe even a different material or a different color. as well, so we could do something like this. Make just the angle of this too. So I'm just adjusting the angle of the stage wash here and the intensity a bit, as well as the cone angle, to kind of get a good looking stage wash that isn't too blown out and also doesn't hit the scenery and stuff as well. And I can kind of see about maybe trying a different material on the stage. Or I could go and just adjust the color of it maybe. Okay, something like that. These screens look a little awkward to me just because there's nothing on them. It's just like a gradient. So it would be nice to have something on them, but I just don't want to use this graphic again because I already used it in a recent video. Now I'd probably want to adjust the colors too if we were to use this graphic here. The deep blue is kind of cool. That works better. I think I'll probably want to adjust these lights though. There's not really much pink in this. There's some green. I think green never shows up very well. I guess if you dim it a little bit, it's a little more green, but it's always like a bright green. This could be a cool effect if you kind of almost blend it in with the backdrop. Maybe. Problem with this graphic is that there's like every color in it probably. So you definitely got a lot of options. I just want to change the graphic again. I'm not satisfied. I think I want to go back to this one again. This one might work honestly best just because it's already got a couple like rounded shapes in it. Alright, we'll do this and then we'll move on to just adding seating and kind of making a finished look of this thing. Change these ones first. Now this lighting kind of looks cool. It's just kind of an elegant, subtle look too. This is kind of one thing that's cool about adding a lot of scenery in different shapes like this is that you could just kind of let the scenery speak for itself and not have to do as much crazy lighting to it because there's already a lot of shapes and scenery and stuff happening already. But let's go ahead and play with it a little bit. Do this bright blue. There, and then I'll do that pink in the background, and then the shapes can be this brighter yellow. We need to move this back. Okay. Just want to replace that top piece real quick. Let me see. That actually works pretty well. You can't really see them very well, the supports. So I guess the way that would work is that you'd have these supports, and I believe, again, some of the vendors have something like this, like Atomic, if you're familiar with them, have a product that works like this. And then you could potentially attach these panels together between these. So probably not exactly like this, but it would work similar to this. Throw some speakers up here. I'm actually going to copy this little truss cover I made. Just a simple black shape. I'm just covering it with instead of drape. Let's do this for now. Scale it down a bit. And we could throw in, I think it'll actually look better if we put some like furniture on the stage. So like super comfy stuff maybe. Let's get rid of this gentleman. Nice cozy setting up here. Just adjust the tone of the stage wash a little bit to be a little cooler. And let's see. The white looks okay on this black stage. Move the stage out a tad more. Green would actually kind of be cool. That fits decently with this. These chairs would probably be pretty awkward for some people to be sitting in for a while. Just some example people there. I think these plants could actually come out a little bit. I'm just kind of going way overboard with all this, but we're just playing with stuff, so whatever. Covering up these screens now. Okay, I'm gonna throw some seating in some audience seating here. Use some rounds or some classroom. I think I'll do some rounds. And we'll do like some even spacing between everything. Spread it out a little more, like 80 feet. Let's see what that looks like from the top. So I'd probably want this to be in a longer room because we have all this depth within the whole thing. Definitely helps if you can use this much depth, but it's definitely not always the case. When you have this much depth to play with, especially with the scenery area right here, and then the separation from the stage, then your lighting can be a lot better. All right, let's throw something like this on here. And what color do I want to make these tables? Like a dark blue. Bright yellow. Just leave it white like that. Okay. Oops. I think my camera went off again. Alright, I think I want to make this lighting a little more subtle. Oops, not selecting all of them. Another thing you could do too is just turn them all down and then see about just highlighting the middle for now. I think that does look a little nicer with just these two lights in the center highlighting. Okay, is there anything else? I kind of want to put some moving lights in there just because it always spices things up a bit. So let's get back to lighting here and do like 18 feet high, maybe 3 lights, and all right, so we have we have these 3 movers here now, which we can play with a little bit. You could probably hit, I think maybe it'd hit the walls a little bit. You could potentially face them outward too. You could also put some lights on the stage too, which maybe we'll do. But this will just fill out the lighting in the room. So let's see here, I'm going to adjust these a bit. Change the pattern. I'll just make them solid for now. Well, just the pattern a little bit. And then I'm just going to select each of them. Oops. Alright, so I'm just going to aim this guy over here. This pattern almost fits with this. Just leave it as that for now. this one, maybe we'll do 2. Oh, you know what? I need to move these back. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and make some camera views here. I think the only thing I would adjust with this at this point is the color on these circular scenery objects. I think it's okay. It's just that they're a little too white, and so they take a lot of the focus away from everything. I'll play with it for a second here, but for some reason lighting just was not hitting it very well, but let's see if we can adjust it a little bit. Probably that I need different lights on them, like a wider light instead of these individual kind of color blasts that only highlight some of them. Let's see again if I can. Okay, I think that makes it a little more subtle so they're not so bright. And then might even adjust this. All right, let's make some camera views and we can look at it from those angles. So I'm gonna go to my first person camera here. If at H, I can just remove the UI so I can see things a little better. If I zoom out, I can get a wider angle lens here. Imagine that we're sitting at this table here. And like when I get my camera angles, I like to try to make sure that you don't have to do this always, but it does help with the aspect of everything to try to get your lines to match up, if you will. So the edge of your camera should be sort of in line, parallel with the angles of, let's say, the vertical parts of your room here. So if you were to, let me just save this camera view real quick and I'll show you what I mean. So if I were to save this camera view and then if I were to instead do it like this, I have this kind of downward angle, which is nice because you can see sort of everything in the stage, so it's not a huge deal. But you have this angle to your camera that goes sort of not in parallel with the vertical line here of your room. And so it tends to look nicer if you align things this way. It's just kind of a, helps keep things less distorted looking as far as your camera angles go. So that's just one tip about setting up camera angles. I do usually like to get a straight on one too. Which kind of just helps you see everything symmetrically. An easy way to do it too is just hit 1 on your keyboard, which puts you in the center. And then I just back up. Which kind of ensures that I'm sort of in the center here. I could zoom out a bit. Maybe do something like this. And now I can actually sort of see that this screen should probably be moved to the right a bit, but I'll do that in a second. So we'll do something like this. Set a camera angle here. Let me move this over a tad. I can go back to that camera and that looks better. I think that this needs to move over a tad, and so does that. And then Might do a camera angle kind of on the side here. Maybe like a more close-up-ish. Sometimes it's hard to get the whole set in view from an angle this harsh. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just kind of cut off a part of it so that I can still get a decent angle and catch like half of it still. Something kind of like this. Another thing too that you can do, I'll show you in a second here, is remove the front row of tables. Just set them back here for now. At least when you're creating your cameras, sometimes, and maybe you can't do this because it doesn't really work for your, because you need to see those front tables or something, but if you remove that front row or move the rows back a bit, you can see more of the stage, which can help quite a bit. Okay, and then you can always play with the visual options as well up here. I usually like to keep this contrast on because it helps separate things a tad. I just realized that is off. Okay. Sometimes I'll play to see if the haze helps or looks good or not. Probably gonna leave it off in this situation. All right, and then I would make some camera view, or make some renderings off of this. Also too, if you're using, if you're creating some final renders, some settings that you can play with are right here, the resolution. Sometimes when you're using the application, it can be nicer, maybe a little faster if you use it in medium or high. And then when you create your final renders, you could set it up to very high and render from there, and it will give you a little bit higher output resolution. So you can play with that. And yeah. All right, that's pretty much it. I don't think there are many people watching anymore. It's probably got a little boring for a little while. It's hard to keep this super entertaining as we're just kind of slowly building something up from scratch. But anyways, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat there. Otherwise, we're probably going to end it here. And yeah, move on to the rest of our Friday and then our weekend. Move these over a little bit. All right, thanks for watching. We're going to end it there.